we just jumped right into it today? I didn't have time to fool around. This is Tim's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Why? Because the draft is over. Thank God. I enjoy the draft, and I enjoy everything about the draft, and it's this fun opportunity to get along with your friends and have a good time and do all the things that you need to do. And like I said, it was great being at the draft party, sitting there with Big L and Swing Culture TV and everyone else that we ran into the Thursday night. But I'm glad the draft is over, because when the draft is over, that means you can start talking about the season. And you could stop talking about all the silly shit that goes on with the draft, the Shador Sanders. I love people taking glee in the misfortune of Shador Sanders. That cracks me up. That literally fucking cracks me up, because of the fact that this kid was predicted by most pundits to go in the first round. Of course, he drops all the way down to the fifth, to the Cleveland Browns, and everyone's so happy for the kid. Look, he got what he deserved. You're all fucking idiots if you think that. If you get fired from your job, do I get to call you up and say, hey, you got what you deserved? No, he's a human like everyone else. He's a person like everyone else. He has dreams and aspirations like everyone else. Get over yourselves. Plain and simple. But let's talk New York Football Giants. Oh, we wrapped up this draft with some interesting picks. I do a draft breakdown every year, and I have a spreadsheet that I use, and the spreadsheet, basically what we do is there's five separate. I'm going to explain this a little bit before we start getting into the nuances of what my grades are for this draft. There's 5 nuances to my spreadsheet, and basically what it is you have 5 separate categories, which is draft positional value, overall talent, team need, fit to scheme, immediate impact, then what gives you a total grade. Now, each column or each value has a subchart in it that basically gives you a score between a 100 and a 0. 100 being at the top, of course, 0 being at the bottom. And what these little subcategories are, it could be intangibles, it could be size, it could be speed, it could be fit in the offense. There is probably with each subcategory within the spreadsheet, there is probably like another 10 subcategories. So I'm trying to pull up let me pull up hold on, let me pull this up. It's the professionalism today. Oh, I know, because we're professionals now. Let me pull up the clip that I want to show you guys, a screenshot. And of course, it's not letting me pull up because I don't have enough space to pull it up. Hold on, let's try this again. So we're gonna pull up the screenshot that gives you the breakdown. Let's see here. Let's take that out. Let's delete that overlay. So here we go. Here we go. Now we got it. Now we're working. Now we're cooking with gas. So here we go. So the grading chart is very simple. Now there's 2 levels to the grading chart. The grading chart is 100 to 88 equals an impact player or a starter. 87 to 79 is a potential starter. 78 to 70 is a non-starter but considered a contributor. 69 to 55 equals a backup or a project. 54 to 0 is is part of the Home Depot team. Now, within each subcategory, you have to look at the value of where the draft position was. So 100 to 90 equals high value or top of the class. 89 to 77 is a mid-range value. 76 to 65 is a low team value. 64 to 0 is a yikes, which means you probably should have fucking taken the kid there. Now a lot of people will bitch and complain that you don't know anything, Tim. You don't know anything. You're stupid. You don't know anything about the draft. You can't evaluate. Well, if you go back and watch my videos, my post-draft evaluations, the last 5 seasons, it's pretty. It's pretty. I'm actually wearing 95. My post-draft analysis has been pretty much like 85% correct. Because you have to look at this from a non-giant perspective. You have to look at it from a value perspective. You have to look at it from what is it going to mean for the team, not with your fan hat on. I think everyone, because you'll have people in the chat like, "This is the greatest draft class we've ever had." I heard that about the Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau draft, and then we didn't pick up the Evan Neal 5th-year option on the 7th overall pick. And most of the people in the draft class will probably be gone next year. So we let's see what a few people got to say in the chat first, and let's get right into our draft analysis. Well, Dennis is all over the place. Dennis says quarterback does not have the skills and the duo that you want to create. I already talked to Dennis about that. Let's see here. This was an aloof draft, very much so. Greg says mid draft by Joe Shane, elite defensive end. Carter's a part-time pass rusher, one read quarterback. Scataboo, solid, worst GM. Mark says New York's winning the Super Bowl this year. Mark, I could already see Mark needs to leave. Alex says, "What?" I'm not even going to read half of Mark's comments because they're stupid. Alex says, "What's up, Tim?" Greg says, "Big T in his house." Kevin says, "Peace, Tim." Matthew, "Good morning, Tim, little BB family. Let's effing go. 2026 Giants is going to be lit. 2025 was a hugging improvement over last year's. Two reasons to be optimistic." Top of the morning, boys, says Jimmy. Davey also says, the running back we drafted is interesting. What are your thoughts? We're going to get to it, Davey. I'm not going to get into it all again. Glad you said that, Tim. I think Dion is going to sue the piss out of the Giants, emotional distress, and more. If you don't think there's collusion in this league for certain players, you're probably very immature. You could agree or disagree with Colin Kaepernick, but there was collusion. You could agree or disagree with Tim Tebow, but there was collusion. There is something very wrong here when a kid that for 2 years was going to go in the first 5 picks doesn't get taken to the 5th round. You could tell me bad this, bad that, but he has the talent. There's something going on. Ryan, let's see. If Bowen doesn't mess things up, I think we have a really good defense. Tell me I'm wrong. No. Bowen could mess shit up. The slender is ridiculous, but he is in the right place. Yeah, you take Dylan Gabriel over Sanders. That was fucking crazy. Let's see here. And the DJ, let's see. Browns are going to owe him so much interest on the next contract with pans out. Destroyed his draft stock just to prove a point. Who is that? Barry Reasons? You mean Gary Reasons? No. No, it's not Carl Banks. It's number 95. Let's see here. Jimmy All says, even if Jeff's son once pulled, the data forensics is over. I says, good morning, Tim. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. Guilty says, yeah, baby.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
How much did the Dart pick? Is about Eli rather than I'm going to get to Dart in a minute too. So let's just get into it. Let's just get into the rankings right now. So I'm going to start, of course, with the top, and as we go on, I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on this as well. Why is my spreadsheet not pulling up? So the first ranking we got, of course, is Abdul Carter at number 3. Abdul Carter, the defensive end / linebacker out of Penn State. Oh, he's got that quick first step. He's got the dip. You know, we dip, you dip, we dip. He's got the one singular pass rushing move. He was a 2-year off-the-ball linebacker that I would say is average at best. He was moved to the defensive end position, not only out of necessity, but I think out of the fact that they felt they were going to get more out of him at Penn State, because Penn State in 2024 lost one of their defensive ends in the first round and then lost the other starter, and I believe in the 3rd round. The kid's got the skills to pay the bills when it comes to the pass rush. He's got the speed. He's got the ability. Well, morning there, Jay. What's up, Scripture? Good morning, Tim. Let's go, G-Man. We're going to leave that up for a while. So he's got the skills. He's got the speed. He's got the ability. He's not going to be a linebacker. He's proven that in college. If you take a look at his first 2 seasons at a linebacker in college, I love that people compare him to Parsons. Parsons is in love with him because they're boys, they're teammates. But if you take a look at his first 2 seasons, they didn't even equal the last season of Parsons. And Parsons only played 2 years at Penn State, so he's not going to be Parsons. Please stop with that nonsense. He is going to be. Here's my concern. The Giants are talking about, our Giant fans are talking about running a 3-4. Abdul Carter does not fit in a 3-4. He doesn't fit in a 3-4 at all. Only because of the fact that he can't play linebacker. 3-4, if you go back to the Giant history, you need a stout run stuffer in that middle. You need an Eric Howard. You need a Jim Burt. You need someone that's going to hold the line. You have that with Dexter Lawrence. But then your ends have to be proficient, not at only playing the run, not only going after the pass, but playing the run. You need a Leonard Marshall. You need a George Martin. You need someone that can anchor that line, so when the second-level linebackers come in, they are available to mop up. So you don't have that, because Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns are way too small to be productive ends. Teams are going to run directly at them. And that's not the fault of these guys. It's just, let me get to the super chat while we're talking. If the Giants did extensive work on Sanders and they didn't know he was before the final interview, they were stupid. It's humorous or ritual for Dion. Then he went where Dion said he wouldn't. It's funny. Like I said, I don't want to get in the Shador Sanders things too much, but there's something going on there. They're like I said, when they say that when there's smoke, there's fire. There's a there. And I don't know if it's the Dion situation. I don't know if it's a sense of entitlement. I don't know if they just want to stay away from there. But the kid has talent. The kid is extremely talented. When you have a quarterback who is so surgical between the 15 to 35 yards out and completes like 77% of his passes, and you don't take him to the fifth, and you take Dylan Gabriel and Tyler and a couple other people, they're like I said, I'm not talking about collusion, but there's some collusion. But going back to Abdul Carter, if you take a look at Abdul Carter's overall team value to this team, to this situation, and you kind of look at his total grade. I gave him a draft, like I said. Now I'm going to leave this up so everyone can take a look at it again. The media assets. Let's leave this up. We're going to leave this up again. So I'm going to show you the graph grade chart. So I have Abdul Carter's draft positional value. I have him at 87.6. If you take a look at the talent, now again, this is based on the talent on the draft. If you look at the talent in the draft, 87.6, he falls right where he should have, which was anywhere between the first and the fifth pick. The overall talent, because he is an elite pass rusher, even though he only has one move, I gave him a 95.1. The team needs where he hurts his score a little bit. The team need, you have Brian Burns, you have Kayvon Thibodeau, you just picked up the guy from Dallas. You look at the team need to be maybe about a 79. Because of the fact, do you really need another undersized defensive end who can't play linebacker? No, especially if you want to run a 3-4. Fit to scheme is the other question. We've talked, someone had it in the chat earlier about Shane Bowen mucking it all up. Sorry, we're professionals now. I forgot we're professionals. About Shane Bowen screwing it all up, fucking it all up. Why? Because of the fact that his system is not conducive to these types of pass rushing situations. The fact that he plays that bend not break stupid zone. We're not even going to get into that, especially when you have 3 press cover corners, but we're not going to get into that. So his scheme fit is about a 79.8, which, because I said he really doesn't fit what the Giants do. His total immediate impact, that is the score in reference to what he is going to do immediately when Abdul Carter comes in. I give him a 92.3 for a total grade value. Drum roll, please. I don't have a drum roll. Drum roll, please, of a total grade value of an 89. So if you take a look at an 89, he's just on the low end of impact starter. Now, the reason I think he's going to be in the low end impact starter, because I do think there's going to be specific packages that are going to be used for Abdul Carter, but I also have this feeling that he is going to be moved to the outside linebacker position for the rush, not against the run, not against the pass, but he is going to get his chops and earn his money creating, and again, it's all going to fall on Shane Bowen. Can Shane Bowen create the mismatches that Abdul Carter needs to be productive? If this was a wink system, if like I said, if where's the wink attack?
What's yours?
Gentlemen,
I'm not.
this I can you nailed it.
You say I have a.
We used to have the wink attack. Oh, here it is.
Warning, it's the wink attack.
If this was the wink attack,
warning, it's the wink attack.
If this was a wink attack, Abdul Carter's grade would not be an 89. Abdul Carter's grade to me would be like a 93. But this is not. This is Shane Bowen's bend not break style defense. And it doesn't truly make sense for what the Giants do. But if you're looking at the overall, and that's why I love when people are like, you hate up the Abdul Carter pick. No, dummies. It just doesn't make sense for the Giants. But as an impactful player, yes, he is an impactful player at 3, but it doesn't make sense for the Giants for what they have on the roster. Big Strider in his house. We also have Bowden is a terrible offense coordinator. He can't work his. He is bad. Another bad draft for the G-Men. It's not that bad, Black, but we're gonna get to it. It's not bad. This next pick's gonna be bad though. So Logic Finds gives it a thumbs up. James says what it's just to push their agenda. The offensive line is still a question mark 100%. Dart like Sanders is north. The Saints should have drafted him. I agree with that 1,000%. But let's get to our friend Jackson Dart. I think we've said it before a million times. Great balls of fire. You want to talk about a quarterback that doesn't make any sense. You talk about the serendipitous fall of Shador Sanders, but we don't want to talk about the rise of Jackson Dart. I went, look at this, because we're full of professionalism now. I went back and I pulled 7 or 8 draft profiles from draft experts. 1 week. This was 1 week after the end of the college football season. And what I'm talking about is the last bowl game, the championship game. And I pulled full scouting reports, pro comparisons to Jackson Dart from numerous websites. I talked to a couple people, and I love it because you take a look at the comparison to Jackson Dart was Bo Nix. His overall positional ranking if you took by average, was 5th overall quarterback. The Big Don, thank you for the super chats, giving out those talk memberships. But Jackson Dart's positional value or position at drift was the 5th ranked quarterback overall. If you took a grade of the 7 websites and people I've talked to, his overall number or ranking in reference to players was 65th, and a lot of people had him consensus to go maybe anywhere between 32 and 57. The NFL comparison by multitudes of people was Christian Ponder. Now, again, like I said, this was before. This was like a week after everything happened in reference to, the combine, the private workouts, everything else. And I love it because I go back and I read some of the comparisons and I read some of the reports. Now, again, this was a week after the season ended. Strengths: played with good technique, good footwork, good poise, displayed a good understanding of where to throw the ball based on basic snap reads, primarily got one-on-one. I love this one, though, because I've been saying this shit for so long about Jackson Dart because it's Daniel Jones light. Primarily got one read, half-field reads, but was able to frequently process what he saw on those reads and had some success. Has capable arm strength to push the ball down the field. Led the top prospects of the draft class, 19 throws of 50 yards or more. Of course, the second person was also Jaden Milroe. Good anticipation as a passer. Though infrequent, Dark will have the ability to have good throws with passing pressure and when hit coming at him. Now, I love, those were the good things. Here are the things that people disliked about Jackson. Like I said, this was a week after the college football season ended. Threw at different arm angles was fine, but his release point was closer to his chest than his head, leading to 9 batted passes down in 2024. Same as shorter passers, Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Dart was able to make pre-draft reads, but often plays based on a one read on half the field. Who does that sound like? There are some small but not evident incompetence to suggest Dart could consistently process defensive coverage post snaps, nor was there enough evidence to show he could make full field reads. Now, like I said, this is a week after the championship game. These are 7 different scouting reports. Additionally, Dart played in a number of offenses in his life, managed to be successful in all of them, so there should be at least a little bit of hope for improvement. Definitely has bouts with locking on to one players before throwing. Can't get away with that in the pros. Didn't take easy throws as often as he should. Often looked for the bigger plays, resulting in missed opportunities. It wasn't Shador Sanders' biggest issue is that he plays the hero ball. When Dart struggles in making reads, post snaps, or locking onto a player, or passes up easy throws, he naturally held the ball, wait for it, too long. Who does this all sound like so far? Sometimes it works out for him, but he still completed passes. But in the pros, the figure means to be more incompletions, more sacks, and more interceptions. Definitely, I love this one. Definitely is pressure sensitive, frequently opting for the escape hatch with his legs rather than sticking in a muddy pocket or behind a line of scrimmage. Didn't consistently keep his eyes downfield on the move. Frankly, gave up way too soon on pass plays once the pressure arrived. Deep throws tend to have too much air under them, which I said he looks like a guy throwing the javelin. has a track record of not being clutch late in games. Last year, his completion rate in the fourth quarter, wait for it, because everyone talks about his big completion rate, was below 60%, worst of any quarter, with 15% off target rate. There was a consistency over the last 3 years at Ole Miss at 61 completion percentage going into the fourth quarter. It is also notable in 3 years at Ole Miss and 1 year at USC, Dart threw 0 game-winning touchdowns and led the Rebels to a game-winning score late in the fourth quarter twice in 3 years. Dart is especially not good late in games. There's evidence that he makes bad rush decisions late, which some of them led to four interceptions in the fourth quarter last season, including 2 in a winnable game at Florida. Now, like I said, that is the scouting report from multiple sources directly after the season. So sometimes we get that Mike Mamula moment where you fall in love with a player's intangibles. The team falls in love. But if I always said I never count college statistics because once college is over, that's it. But if you take a look at the way he plays, it's Daniel Jones light. So we're gonna give our grade value for the Jackson Dart pick. So we're gonna go back up here and we're gonna go back to our media assets. We're gonna put back up our grade value chart. And we looked at the first level of the chart saying Jackson Dart position as a draft positional value. That to me was a 73. There was no way he should have been taken even in the 25th round. By going through all the things that everyone said about him after the college football season, it's crazy. Overall talent, I give him a 70. A team need, this is one of the few levels that Jackson Dart has a higher number. It's a 90.1. Fit the scheme, I give it a 70 because I'm not sure after 3 years of Dable and Mike Kafka, what the hell offense we're running. Immediate impact on this team is going to be a 40 because of the fact that you have Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. I don't see him beating out either one of those for a total grade of 68.62. which gives you a listing of Jackson Dart as a backup, as a project. But the Giants traded assets like they were getting the second coming. So if you take a look at your first round grade, you got to give the Giants a B+ for the Carter Dart trade. Carter Dart first round. But the majority of that grade comes from an A and a D. An A for Abdul Carter. Get it? A for Abdul Carter.
That's what she said.
And about probably a D- for Jackson Dart. I hope to God Jackson Dart works out. I hope to God this Jackson Dart becomes this great quarterback that nobody sees coming. And I love the fact that the Rams were going to jump up and get him. The Rams were never going to jump up and get Jackson Dart. I don't understand. That was giant lunacy. The Rams are in a 2-year win-now window with Matthew Stafford. Sean McVay retires every year. They have a 2-year window to get back to the Super Bowl and win now. How many quarterbacks did the Rams take this draft? Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go. Let's get into the chat before we get into Darius Alexander, the 65th pick overall defensive tackle. Oh, I love Darius. If they move him out to linebacker, it'll be a lot more comfortable. But at D, he's going to get bullied. He's going to get bullied at linebacker because he does not have the skill set to play linebacker. We saw that for 2 years at Penn State. Once as usually, I mute or unsubscribe. There are a lot of idiots out there. I don't know if it's the food, water, or the climate. I think it's the climate. What's up, Big James? Salute to the chat. We got the Knicks tonight. Let's go Knicks. I think Carter is good, but he doesn't fit the G-men. He doesn't fit it. We're also going to get into some of these picks, how they just don't fit the system. And again, they could Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders. Man, can make that shit up. I'm going to say it before. I'm not going to say it again. Collusion. I think I could run on the Giants at this point in time. The Giants saw what the Eagles did. The Eagles built this wall. The Great Wall of South Street, I'm going to call it. They built this wall of an offensive line. They built this wall on the defensive line. The Eagle defensive line, and of course the Eagles get another fucking linebacker falling down to them at 32. Probably one of the best linebackers in the draft outside of Carter. True linebackers. That's what we needed. They built a wall on their defensive line. But these are big guys. These are guys that are going to bully you. We're going purple people eaters in the 70s with the Vikings, where these little guys. And in the playoffs, you see that doesn't work. But we're going to get to that anyway. Tim, we drafted Daniel Dart. Let's get ready, because unless Dable has the magic we hired him for, of course, he had the magic. We couldn't get him to actually play. Where does Gio keep Dart? I didn't know that. I didn't know. Oh, listen. Okay, I love the diamond puka shells. I like I said, I'm calling him MC Light now. After that, you look at some of these draft outfits. I'm calling the kid MC Light. Tim, although Dart is sitting in his final first year with Giants to win a game because they don't, Shane and Dable are fired, making a pick pointless. That's the other thing. What happens if you lose? What happens if you get fired? The next coach coming in here has got to want to win with Jackson Dart. Didn't we fall through that trap with Daniel Jones? Christian Ponder. That's what scouts are saying. Nostalgia 90. Good morning, Tim. Number 22. Well, let's get those likes up. Not drafting Sanders was more about preservation than actual talent evaluation. Soft GM, soft head coach. Artie or will be in hot seat for a bad start. Don't forget, they're not starting this year. I'm trying to open this to development, but he's done that. Equates to what we can do. If he does develop, then that's going to be wild. I hope Jackson Dart does develop. I just don't see it. Like I said, read all the scouting reports right after the season ended, a week after the championship game. You look at it and you cringe. And then you're like, okay, he must have interviewed. You know what it is? It's like at your job. So let's say you're a salesperson. Salesperson comes in. They give you all the right answers. They look the part. They do this. And then they can't fucking do their job and you fire them. Remember this? Everyone said he wanted Malik Willis. My name's Chris. I'm a fucking moron. Oh yeah. How many? Let's see. Who had more wins last season, Malik Willis or Daniel Jones? Whose head coach said they don't make the season? They don't make the playoffs without Malik Willis. Whose former head coach said we should never have traded Malik Willis? Oh, I don't know.
Nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Well, he's already gone. You're a moron. Go to Chud Sports. To be fair, I think Russell had to learn the same lesson in terms of sliding. J Sports Cards. Let's say thank you. I tried. What do we also got here? But James, I agree. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna go. Chris was banned because he's a fucking idiot. All right, let's get into Darius Alexander, the big defensive tackle. Oh, Darius Alexander. He's this large gentleman who was in college for 479 years. He's, I think, 87 years old with 3 grandkids. No, I'm just being facetious. Darius, if you take a look at him, and if you take a look at him from the correct lens, was the 13th defensive tackle taken in the draft. He was 13th. And a very deep defensive draft. Darius is 6'4", 305 pounds. Of course, out of Toledo. He was in college for quite an extended period of time. He is a guy that it's kind of funny. He kind of reminds me of them. He kind of reminds me of Matt from Connecticut, but on the defensive side. He's got this lower body strength. He's able to generate a nice push and a nice rush with it. He's got, you know what he is? He's got this mobility. He's got this guy. He at his size at 3. You take a look at him, and you're like, there's no way this guy plays at 305. He plays like someone that's like 50 pounds lighter because he's got that lateral mobility. He can go out and stretch plays. He can change directions. He just has this frame. You know what he's got? You know, we always talk about Justin Pugh having the having T-Rex arms. This guy has got telephone poles for arms, which gives him an advantage. It would give him more an advantage if he was an offensive lineman, but it does give him a built-in advantage to get his hands into a proper technique and get basically lock in and properly get into and underneath to the chest of the blocker. It really does. His size is what scares his lack thereof size scares me the most, especially if you're going to use him as a full-time guy. And again, like I said, if you're going 3-4, it doesn't make sense to draft this kid, but that's all right. We're not going to get into that because we have no idea we're going to do that. He's got a natural, nice feel for the game. He holds his assignment. He gets in his run lanes. He has some pass rushing ability. Why we joke a little bit about Abdul Carter, Darius has got a little bit of a move. He's got a little bit of a dip. He's got a little bit of a swim move. He's got a little one of those arms over. You know, he's got a little bit of this. He's got flashes. He understands angles. He understands leverage. It's funny. because I also think Darius was selected because of his special team ability. And this is a guy that when you're gonna put him on, I'm gonna put this kid somewhere blocking kicks, blocking extra points, blocking field goals, because of the fact that he's a telephone pole. And you take those long. I have long arms. And long arms you have an advantage at times. And I think when you put him on special teams, I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, there is a reason why he was the 13th defensive tackle. He was picked 65th, but he was the 13th defensive tackle taken. There's a reason. Because of the fact that he's slight of build. He is a guy that, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it. He's a guy that is sometimes not motivated. They say in college that he runs hot and cold, that he's less impactful and explosive late in games. And a lot of people think it's because of his conditioning. Some people think it's because of his attitude. I don't know. They also say that his pass rushing technique and his setting up and the moves that he uses to set up is kind of random. that he's not really refined in that approach. While we talked about the fact that he's got these long ass arms, people say that his hand placement is inconsistent. Which happens is, now if you're not getting underneath the chest of the offensive lineman and you go with that initial punch, the offensive lineman is going to push you back. And sometimes, and this is something I worry about with him. Sometimes Darius gets, and this is what the issue is with, I think we're going to be with Abdul Carter. This is the issue that Kayvon Thibodeau has, and this is the issue that Brian Burns has. They're too focused in penetrating and getting up the field and getting the sack. And what happens when you do that? You lose gap integrity. And what do people do? They just run on your ass. Now, the problem is they say that 305, his strength at the point of attack is not what you're going to be for that style of defense. But we're going to maybe play the 3-4. I don't know what we're doing yet. But he is a good, I'm not saying he's not a good impactful player, but I do think he's going to show promise. Let's throw up the chart. Let's throw up the board here. Let's throw up the big board and go through Darius's grades. This is like school, and I was so never not good at school. I give the overall draft positional value of Darius as an 88.3. He was the 13th defensive end tackled, but this was a deep draft for defensive ends. He was picked at 65th, which to me is probably right where he should have been. Overall talent, I'm looking at about an 81.5. While he has consistency issues against the run, he can be an interior rush. He can use his strength in reference to his lower body. He can use his arms to hopefully get around defenders. Overall team need, yes, we need a running mate for Dexter Lawrence, but it's about an 82 because of the fact that you normally can find a secondary defensive tackle later in the draft or in free agency, because we need someone that's really going to plug up the middle, especially if you run a 4-3. Overall fit to scheme, again, it's a 66 because I don't know where Shane Bowen is going to run this scheme. You're bringing in all these undersized pass rushing ends and defensive tackles outside of Dexter Lawrence, and you're going to expect them to maintain their assignments and have the ability to stop the run, and I don't see it. Immediate impact, I do think that he's immediately going to be a contributor. He's going to be right on the cusp of maybe being a non-starter and a starter, so I gave him a 78.8, which gave him a total draft grade value of a 79.32. So 79.32, he's on the cusp between being a potential starter on this team and a non-starter. I think at 65, it's a good value pick. It's an understandable pick. You always can use pass rushers. I would like to have seen him not be so slight a build, not be a guy that's been in college for 4. You know what they say for a kid that's been in school for 7 years? What do you call him? Doctor. But you know what? You know, he's going to come into his own. He's going to come into his fit, and I think he's going to be fine. I think we're looking good here. Let's see here. What do we got in the chat? Oh, let's see here. James, take me to, I love Scataboo. as well. Hope it works out. Oh, great. Another Tibbs. A little bit. Let's see here. They could argue they need more time to develop. DJ was screwed up, and they didn't want that to happen again. It's a trap. It is a trap. Likely a cabin killer was what as James says. Nobody is Daniel Jones. Let's see. Hours H, you were serious. Dart locks on. We already talked about that. I understand it. Look, can't take the opposing opinions so well. He yells and calls me because you are an idiot. Watch this. You're still a fucking idiot. Goodbye.
Get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
No, and see the best part? See, Chris, you don't understand. You get put in timeouts. You don't get banned because you're an idiot. Let's see here. Tara, what's up, Asming? Let's see. Strider, I meant personally wise. Polar opposite. DJ was. Let's go next to our next guy. Let's go to Cam Scataboo. Scataboo. Whatever the hell his name is. We'll call him just Cam. Cam the man, the big running back. Oh, the bowling ball back that is going to be the yin to the yang of Tyrone Tracy. The Cam pick is interesting. This is a kid that's a bowling ball back. Plain and simple. He's a bowling ball back in college. Is that going to progress into the pros? I don't know. His running style is interesting. I think they say he's 5'9", 219 pounds. He's a downhill runner. He's a punishing runner. He had a very interesting career. His running his physicality as a running back the last 2 years of college, he has extreme amount of carries. I get worried. There have been there's been a lineage of wreckages of running backs who were physical downhill runners in college that basically took their best hits in college and kind of flamed out in the pros. And I'm not looking at you, Ron Dane. And at 5'9", 219 pounds, it's going to be interesting. He's a guy that's not fast. He's a Wayne Gallman. Go back to the Seattle game with Joe Judge when Wayne Gallman got pulled down from behind, which should have been a touchdown, which should have put us a little further away. We still won that game, but a little further away from icing that game. He is going to be a guy that, like I said, there's no top end speed. He's not going to hit the home run, but he's going to punish you. Is he going to be a Brandon Jacobs type? No. Brandon Jacobs, what people forget, was this anomaly. He was this huge back when he came out, and he sat there and he showed you that he could go and be a downhill runner and punish you and really go through people. And like I said, that Cam is a good, he's good enough wide receiver out of the backfield. Like I said, he's going to be that physical thumper. He is going to be the yin to Tyrone Tracy's yang. We also keep forgetting we have Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is not going to go anywhere because I think he's got like a $6 million cap number against a $6 million dead cap number. So he's not going anywhere. I would like to see a little bit more experience in this backfield. We still have no idea what's going to happen with Tyrone Tracy, how the league is going to adjust. But like I said, Cam, he's a physical runner. He's a natural runner. I think he's got good instincts. I think he's got good vision. When he takes that handoff, like I said, I think he when he takes the handoff, he's patient, but he's quick at figuring out where he's going to go, and he's quick at going to the point of attack. But like I said, this isn't a guy that's going to get you he's not going to get you any additional yards outside of maybe that first 10 to 15, 20 yards. Because like I said, he is a guy that ran a 4.6. He didn't even run. He did the unofficial times from this kid came out of his private workouts, where we're anywhere between a 4.6 and a 4.7. He's, like I said, he is going to be that second level, soften the defense, punishing rusher that you're then going to hope you're going to turn over and give the ball to Tyrone Tracy, and Tyrone Tracy's going to scoot through the line and create and get those big yards that Tyrone Tracy showed that he could do last year. But like I said, it's an interesting pick because again, there was you had the likes of like Caleb Johnson, who I think would have been more of a complete starter. That went over to, of course, he went over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cam is going to be more a straight ahead runner. If you take a look at him, he does not have a lot of lateral agility. And like I said, he's got that initial good burst going through the line. But we've talked about this before with my 76 Oldsmobile. It was a great car. It was a fast car. Problem is, you had to get that sucker rolling downhill and then hope to God that it would pick up speed. And he's not going to be a 3-down back, but he can catch the ball in the backfield. But he's going to be extremely limited with his elusiveness in the open field. But that's not what he's here for. He's here to be the bruiser. He's here to basically tuck your head in and go through the middle of the pile. He's here to get those tough 2-3 yards. But like I said, I get worried about a back that had so many carries in college for 2 seasons that come into the pros, because a lot of times those bigger, and some of these guys were bigger backs, they had issues having that translate, and your body kind of gets beaten down a little bit, guys. So is he going to be a Ron Dane type guy? I don't think, I don't think so, because he's coming in here to be, he's coming here to be himself. He's coming here to be Cam. That's who he's coming here to be. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. We got 139 people in the YouTube sphere, and then another 100 something over in the can't say the name. But like I said, let's pull up the Cam grade. Let's pull up Like this, our professionalism is just so compounding here today. We got so much professionalism. All right, we got the grade chart up. Now let's go to the Cam. The Cam, who of course was taken at 105th. I give him a draft positional value at about an 83.6. He's almost exactly where I think he should have been. Probably should have fell down a little bit lower in the draft, but which is fine. It was not a reach. Overall talent, because of his limited ability to hit the home run ball, that he's going to be mainly that first, second down back. You got to figure he's going to be a 78.6. He's not a guy he's going to be Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman was a good back on a bad team, but he did not have a second gear. Overall team need, you still have Devin Singletary. You still have Moda. Of course, you still have the Eric. Can we finally get rid of Eric Gray? Can we finally get rid of? Yeah, thank you. Can we finally get rid of Eric Gray? For the love of God, can we get rid of the Gray Ghost? We're done. But overall team need, you got to give him about an 82. Fit to scheme. Again, you are going to be running maybe a Buffalo-style offense. I don't know, because our offense the last 3 years with a genius known as Brian Dale has been so bland. I got to give it about a 73.1. Overall immediate impact, he is a guy that is going to be, I was going to say a non-starter, but on the cusp of a potential starter. So we gave him a 78.8 for a total draft grade of 78.66. So that 78.66 puts you still in the non-starter but contributor pile. And also, like I said, I don't think I think Tyrone Tracy is going to get the bulk of the carries. But like I said, I think, Cam is going to soften up the defense. He's a 2-down back. Yes, he can catch the ball, but you really want a guy catching the ball out of the backfield that has no acceleration once he gets the ball? But like I said, for a good value pick, like I said, it's a good value pick for the Giants. Some people are like, "What's going on with Tim here, man? He's just saying everything's good." No, I'm not saying everything's good. I'm just telling you that these are good picks. He's not Rob Carpenter. Rob Carpenter, number 26, when he came over from the Houston Oilers, was prevalent in getting the Giants to the 81 playoffs. He's not Rob Carpenter. He's not. Big L, Jigga. They're doing it, L. Let's see. We won the draft. We hit it out of the park. All we have to say is we're going to go out of the playoff. We'll be out of playoff contention by November. Mike Glenn says Cleveland played the draft better and improved their team better than the Giants. The Giants drafted like the Browns and like the team. You know what? The Cleveland had one hell of a draft. They had one hell of a draft. What week do you think they try to throw Dart in? I hope week 4. Let's see. If you go through the schedule, throw Dart in about week 28. What's up, Mark Stewart? What's going on? Let's see here. I'll laugh. Collusion to what ends? Well, you collude to prevent someone from doing something. Baseball was literally lost a lawsuit for collusion. against the players. So yeah, I do think there was collusion. I think there was collusion. I still think there's collusion with Colin Kaepernick. You can agree and disagree with Colin Kaepernick politically, doesn't matter. But if you told me that Colin Kaepernick, who went to a Super Bowl, had 3 bad years his last couple of years, let's be honest, but was he still a good enough quarterback to be a backup quarterback in this league and a spot starter? Yeah. Same thing with Tim Tebow. You could disagree with him religiously or whatever you want to talk about, but he still beat Pittsburgh. His last shot at a quarterback, playing a quarterback at New England, the guy literally did not look terrible. I was at the New England preseason game where they played the Eagles. He's not a kid that was looked bad. Can you tell me that Tim Tebow could not be a third string quarterback in this league? No. So yes, I do think there's collusions. Let's hear Cam can be a Boston Scott. No, because Boston Scott had some speed. After free agency and the draft, are the Giants better than Philadelphia? No. Washington? No. Dallas? No. No. I don't. We're not talking about that though, Mike. I agree. I agree with that one. I agree with that wholeheartedly. That are we better? No. Did we add talent? Yes. Is this talent good enough to put us in the playoffs? No. Will we be a better team than next year? Depends on the quarterback play and depends on if you can find out a way to keep 3 undersized defensive ends on the field and no linebackers. But I agree. I agree. Let's continue though with the draft. Marcus Bowe taking 154th, the offensive lineman. Oh, I was waiting for the Giants to take an offensive lineman. I was waiting. I had my fingers crossed that they were finally going to take an offensive lineman, and then they finally did. And they come up with Marcus. Marcus to me again is he is an undersized guy. He is a guy that if you take a look, I keep saying, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Matt from Connecticut. We all miss Matt Pert, who went over and became somewhat of a starter over in San Francisco. Marcus's big claim to fame for this team is going to be he is going to be that swing guy. He's going to go between tackle. He's going to go between guard. He did it in college. Again, he is not this prototypical size offensive lineman that you want to take in the 5th round. He's this big guy. Like I said, he reminds me so much of Matt from Connecticut. That he is like 6'5", 300 pounds. He's barely 6'4", 303. He has the ability to play both positions. You're going to be your swing tackle and your swing guard. He reminds me so much of Matt Pert, though. He reminds me so much of Matt from Connecticut. He's got this narrow upper body. And I kept telling people with Matt, and I loved it when we drafted him. I said, you took a guy from Connecticut that's going to take at least 5 years to develop into an offensive lineman. And people could be like, you're crazy, man. Okay. He had this narrow frame. And I said, Matt was going to have to put on weight. He was going to have to bulk up. And of course, he puts the weight and bolts up, hurts his back. But he does have this limited upper body strength. He has, I always laugh because we talk about how Alexander's got the telephone poles. He's got the T-Rex arms. He's got the Justin Pugh arms, which is going to be difficult when he needs to go up against stronger blockers that are going to come at you with blunt brute force. And that's not looking at, we're not looking at you, Philadelphia. His hands, they tend to drift a little bit. He doesn't know exactly where to put them. One of the big things, and I think it's because of his size and his frame, he's going to have a difficult time, especially in this league with power rushers, in reference to kind of redirecting them. He's going to get bullied. He is going to be, they all say the same thing. He is going to be a better pass blocker than he is going to be a run blocker. He's not going to be a road paver. And I find it funny because you went out and got John Runyon Jr. John Runyon Jr. said the same thing. They said the same thing about him in Green Bay, that he's not much of a run blocker. But then you go out and get a power back and Cam to go with an undersized offensive line, to go with your undersized defensive line. Sure, but if I'm an opponent, an offensive opponent, I'm just going to run at the Giants, just like they've been doing for 4 years. I'm just going to run at you. I'm going right at Burns. I'm going right up Carter, and I'm going to go right at Kayvon Thibodeau and make you stop me. And that's what Saquon Barkley did. But like I said, Mr. Marcus Bowe, his value to this team is going to be as a guard / tackle. He's going to be able to play both positions. You have some people that think that he's going to come in at the 154th pick and be a starter. I mean, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. But I do think he's got value to the team. So you know what we're gonna do? We've done it. Knock knock. Who's there? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna throw up the online Big Blue grading chart, and we're gonna go to Marcus. I think his overall positional draft value was about a 79.3. I think he falls right where he should. And reference to overall talent, we had him listed as a 70.1. I think because of the fact that he is going to be so limited as a run blocker and that his pass blocking ability is what's going to keep him in the league, and his slight frame and build and reference to his upper body strength reminds me of Matt from Connecticut. He's got some issues and he's going to get bullied around by these bigger, more powerful defensive linemen, not looking at you, Philadelphia. Overall team needs is about a 75.2. Only because of the fact that we needed an offensive lineman, but we needed a road paver. Once again, fit the scheme. I'm looking at maybe a 69 because of the fact that we have no clue what the Giants are going to run. Because of the fact that the offense we've seen for 3 years has been so vanilla. I loved it. I still loved it to this day. The morons running laps always will have a special place in my heart. The other morons I enjoyed were motion. We need motion, 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 motion. And the Giants put motion in, and it fools nobody. So I'm not even sure what the fit the scheme is even going to be yet. Immediate impact is going to be about a 69 as well, because of the fact that, honestly, like I said, he's going to be at times, he's just not going to be this impact blocker or road paver. And I do think, like I said, his skill set's going to be as a blocker. So I'm going to give that grade for Marcus basically a 71.52. So he is really just on the cusp of being a backup, maybe potentially, like I said, a non-starter. But he's definitely going to be a non-starter. But he's going to just fall right at that realm as a backup. And we're gonna kind of go from there. We're also gonna go quickly to the last two picks with Thomas. I don't even want to say his fucking name because he's not gonna be on the team. Pick 219th. He was, of course, the tight end, coming off 2 ACL injuries, had one successful season in college without being hurt. I mean, he is an undersized. He's not going to be the block at 6'5", 243 pounds. He's not going to be the blocking tight end that you need. He's just not that guy. He's got this length. He's going to be able to stretch the field. At least you hope he's going to be able to. Again, this is another kid that's long and lean and doesn't have what I like to refer to as functional strength, which means it's going to be strength required to have consistent inline blocking and have that physical push that you need as a pass blocker. The injuries, that scares the hell out of you. 2 lost seasons to 2 knee injuries before finally getting healthy in 2023. Like I said, he's a narrow guy. He's not gonna engage blockers. He has a tendency of losing his balance. He's gonna be a developmental guy, 100%. He's gonna be a big body target. He is gonna be a good route runner. He's another one with those massive arms at 34 inches. He's got them big hands. He's athletic. He is going to be a receiving tight end, plain and simple, and that's it. So my total, taking a look at the total full grades, I give him a positional draft value of 43 because I don't think your guy with 2 knee injuries and barely 1.5 seasons of history of health should be taken even that high at 219. Overall talent, like I said, he is a 55. He is a receiving tight end, slight frame, not going to be able to be an impactful blocker. You have the same guy in Theo Johnson who is not willing to put his head in the pile, and you have Dane Bellinger who just isn't good. So as a team need, it's going to be higher, so it's going to be at an 87. Fit the scheme, again, like I said, we don't know the Dable scheme, so we're going to have to give him a 68. Immediate impact on this team is going to be a 45, which gives him a basic score of a 41.6, which puts him right as almost at the home Tebow team. So next, we're going to run over to Corey. I'm going to bang out these two real quick.
That's what she said.
Next one right now is Corey Black, the quarterback, taking 246th. Again, the seventh round picks. You take a look at. I mean, seventh round picks. They are what they are. It's like Popeye. They are what you are. This is the kid from Oklahoma State. You know, he's 5'11". 190 pounds. He is that corner that, like I said, he's in some ways I love it. In some ways, he's a press cover corner. He's got nice vertical speed. You know, he's just the guy that you took in the seventh round. He has they say about him in college, he had issues consistently recognizing routes. His press technique, because of the way he releases, kind of leaves him susceptible to the big plays. And you would like to see him get more into that contact window, but he doesn't. And he's not very disciplined. And I love it. I love it because he's not very disciplined. And what they say about him in college is he's handsy. He's Eli Apple handsy. So he's a seventh round pick. That's what he is. Draft positional value is a 44 because I think he should have been undrafted free agent, even at 246. Overall talent, he's about a 51 because of the fact that he doesn't play. He did start for a number of games. He's not consistent. He's not really, while he has that straight inline speed, it's going to be that ability to stay with your man and recognize the routes, which he doesn't do well. Team need, it's a 40. I mean, right now, you just went out and got Paulson Adebo. You went out and got Banks. You went out and got Drew Phillips. You still have quarter of slot. It's just not there. Fit the scheme is a 72 because I do think he would be a little bit better in the Shane Bowen defense from last year and in Tennessee. Immediate impact, I give him a 33, which is going to be a total grade of a 48.4, which is going to be he's going to be on the Home Depot team. Let's just, I could be totally wrong about it, but I see Mr. Black being on the Home Depot team. Overall, if we take a look at the Giant draft, if you take a look at the value picks, you potentially if you potentially have a starter in Abdul Carter. I think you have a positional starter, depending on what style defense you play with Darius Alexander, as he could be he's on that cusp. He's, like I said, he's at the 79.32. So he's on the cusp of being a starter, but not really being a starter because you don't know what the scheme's going to be defensively, because you cannot play him at the 4-3. You can't play him at a 4-3. Giants are talking about playing him in the 3-4 because of all these undersized defensive ends we have, who can't play linebacker. But if you're going to go 3-4, then his value is going to go lower, but you're going to go 4-3. And like I said, he's going to be a special teams guy. I'm putting him on special teams. Cam, I gave, of course, a 78.8, which to me is going to be not a starter, but an impact player. I think, like I said, he is going to be that yin to the yang in reference to Tyrone Tracy. He's going to be that bulldozing back. He's going to be the Wayne Gallman type who's going to get you those tough 3-4 yards, but is not going to do much after that. He doesn't have the second gear. The second gear fell out when the transmission dropped. Marcus Bowe, like I said, his biggest I'll say contribution is going to be he's not only going to be a swing tackle, but he can play the guard position as well. He reminds me of John Runyon with the fact that he is not a proficient run blocker, but he's going to be better at the pass blocking situation. I always find it funny when offensive linemen play better going backwards than they do going forward. So I always find it funny. But like I said, I think could be on this offensive line. He could be a contributor. I think both the tight end and Corey Black, just forget about it. So potential, and Jackson Dart just doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sorry, guys. If you weren't here earlier in the show, we read you the draft profile of Jackson Dart from scouts a week after the NCAA football championship game. And they all said the same thing. He's the fourth best quarterback. Maybe in reference to player rankings, he's maybe 50 at best. And you went up and took him at 25. You traded assets to get him at 25. And for those that I'm not going to read through all of them, but for those that weren't here for the first 50 minutes, you know, some of the things they said about Jackson Dart, deep throws tend to have too much air under them. Was definitely pressure sensitive, frequently opting for the escape patch with his legs rather than sticking in a muddy pocket or behind the offensive line scheme. Didn't consistently keep his eyes downfield on the move, and frankly gave up way too soon on big pass plays once the pressure arrived. Struggles with reads post snaps, locks on the players, and easily pass up easy throws. He naturally holds the ball too long. Sometimes it works out for him, sometimes he doesn't. Didn't take the easy throws as often as he should. Definitely locks on the players. One player before throwing it, can't get away with that in the pros. Something that I've said before over and over, and I try to tell people, watch this film. Jackson Dart always rolls to one side. Dart was able to make pre-snap reads often, but plays based on a one read or half the field read. There are some, but not enough evidence to suggest confidently that Dart can consistently process defense coverage post snaps, nor was there any good evidence that he showed he could make the throws on a full field read. These are from NFL scouts. That's all, but somehow we fell in love with him. Somehow teams fell in love with him and this is from NFL scouts. I love it. And I love it again. Here's another one from NFL Scott. Primarily got away one read, half the field read, but was able to frequently process what he saw in those reads. If you have a one read and a half the field read, wouldn't you be? I think I could be proficient at reading a defense if it was a one read. These are things that were said about him literally 7 days after the end of the college football season. What changed? What has changed? I don't know. We got the Knicks now. Let's go Knicks. Truther says, any decent quarterback would be able to thrive with that number one wide receiver, elite and even average number 2 and 3. If Russ is as good as I think he is, the Giants should be fine at wide receiver. The offensive line is the only question mark. Oh, the Giants got a lot of question marks. Giants tight ends question marks. Outside of Malik Neighbors, you're still going to have Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale 2 yards in a cloud of dust. And you didn't hit that. I find it funny that people told me I didn't know what I was talking about when I said the Giants need a running back and a tight end. And what do the Giants do? They go out and get a running back and a tight end. But the problem is they didn't get one that was proficient enough in opening up the field. But we're not going to get into that. Giants may be cooked if there are any injuries on the offensive line because they wasted the Dart pick. Yeah. He's going top 5 last year. You're out of your mind. Who was going top 5 last year? Jackson Dart? Jackson Dart, they said last year, wouldn't even have been taken in the 7th round. You're gonna say something stupid? Go to Chud Sports. That's more your speed. Let's see here. Let's see. I prefer losers and versus the Home Depot. Lowe's versus the Home Depot team. No, it's always the Home Depot team. What do we also got? Eric says pancakes. I like pancakes. James says hit that like button. Truthers, height could be a nice prize, but it's no evidence they will actually produce. I'm not totally blindly optimistic. Russ, because people hate his personality, led people to think he's more washed up than he is. Tim says, Mike Liz, thank you. Tim, thanks for the thoughtful analysis. With most Giant contenders rating every pick as an A+ and steal of the draft, declaring Shane a genius and a mastermind. I give the Giants a solid B+. And more of it not on talent, more of it on the fact that some of these guys just don't fit the scheme. I want to talk about the genius Joe Shane. Darren Beavers, gone. McKeithen, gone. DJ Davidson never became anything. McFadden, there was never a tackle he didn't want to miss. Dane Belton, garbage. Daniel Bellinger, garbage. Cordell Flott, why he's still on the fucking team, I don't know. Azuda, garbage. Wan'Dale Robinson, 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Evan Neal, gone. We didn't pick up the 5th-year option. He picked up a $16 million option on Kayvon Thibodeaux. We've got to see what happens there, but he hasn't been anything. Owens, gone. Jordan Riley, hasn't done anything. Trey Hawkins, the one time he gets to play, he learns the shoulder tackle and blows out his shoulder. Eric, 3 yards in a cloud of dust gray. Probably will be gone. Jalen Hyatt, garbage. John Michael Schmidt said it before. Said it before coming out of college and coming out of Minnesota. He lost weight. He's an undersized center, and I was shocked that a guy that was a wrestler did not understand leverage. Gave up the most amount of holding penalties as a center his first year. Last year he gave up the most amount of sacks for a starting center. Banks with a regression on the defense in reference to Wink. You bring in a guy, the genius Joan Shea in this. He brings in a guy that he doesn't fit the system for Banks. Tyrone Tracy, we have to wait and see. Theo Johnson, to me, is not going to be anything. Phillips, people love talking about Drew Phillips. The only problem is Drew Phillips, the league completed 83% of their passes against him for multitudes of first downs. Everyone talks about all the tackles he has. Yeah, but you know what? Your job as a defensive back is to stop the guy from catching the ball, not tackling him. That's part of the game. But if you prevent him from catching the ball, you don't need to tackle him. Tyler Newman, to me, is a good player, but I think he needs to be a linebacker. And the only hit I really true see is Malik Neighbors. That's out of 3 drafts. So if this guy is a genius, then I'm a fucking rocket scientist. Big James. You around, Big James? I'm gonna put the link in the chat because I haven't talked to my brother James. The Knicks are on at 1. We got the Knicks on. I want to get some perspective on the draft. I want to get a perspective from you guys. Little side note for those that missed it the other day. If you didn't hit the like button, you're dead to me. Of course, I'm just joking about that. Channel news. I've been telling people before, we have a couple new sponsors coming in, but we have a new. I've said it before. We had a contest yesterday, and we're not going to do it again today, but we gave away one of these. We gave away one of these yesterday, and the contest was: what does Bob Papa, Carl Banks, and Online Big Blue all have in common? I'm going to put that out there for a second while I drop in the tea, because he's got to be going to brunch. You going to brunch?
Nah, picking my mother up from the airport.
picking your mom up for every time we talk to you, you're going to brunch or something.
Nah,
your daughter's usually driving and you're going to brunch.
Nah, I wish. What's going on?
What do we think about this draft?
Overall, honestly, there's some picks I agree with. There's some I didn't. I'll give it like a B.
B plus. I went B plus.
I would be.
Let me ask you a question before you talk about the one move. Did you give it a lower grade because that some of this talent doesn't fit the system, or did you give it a lower grade vis-a-vis overall talent?
No, I gave it a bad grade.
B's not a bad grade.
Huh?
B's
well,
not a bad grade.
I gave it a lower grade because of what we did to get a quarterback with the pick. I just think we're a bad team. We need as many draft picks as we can get. I just think there were better options for us. Trading back was a better option. Had we traded back, picked up draft capital, and drafted James Pierce instead of Abdul Carter, you know how high I am on James Pierce. I think they're pretty much same level of talent. But I didn't like the Cam Scataboo pick. I like where we got him, but I think he makes our offense very obvious because
he's a 2-down back.
When he comes in the game, kind of know what we're doing. If Tracy's in the game,
let's see. But Cam can catch the ball out of the backfield. It's not like he has stone hands. But to your point, if he's in the game, more than likely you're going to be running the ball because you're not going to swing out a flare pass to a back that has one gear.
4.7.
Yeah.
4.6. I don't know. I like his toughness.
He didn't run, so he didn't run. So
yeah.
He only ran a private workout. So they're saying it's between 4.6 and 4.7.
Yeah, I think he's strong. I think he's got that attitude you like, but I just don't think overall skill set. He just makes things become a little obvious for the offense, and the fact that we didn't dress wide receiver soon enough or a playmaker. Yeah, I don't think we addressed a playmaker at all. Like we got tight end too late. There was just different moves we should have made. But again, we'll see. If we hit on quarterback, this ends up being an A draft. Goes from a B to an A instantly. But Lane Kiffin, I think Truth Teller was in there talking about Lane Kiffin quarterbacks. They do not produce on the next level.
No, because were you able to hear the scouting reports I read that came out a week after the end of the college football season?
I heard a little bit out of it, but one thing I know about him without hearing the scouting reports, he's a one read throw the ball guy.
I've been saying this since the end of the college football season. The offense for Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, they roll to one side. They do the Pat Shurmur. I'm going to give you an option, and your second option is to run. So it's not you're not really reading the defense, and that made Daniel Jones successful for a season, not an entire season, but in 5 games, and made him look
Like
I don't know
like a $160 million quarterback.
well, I'm not going to go that fucking crazy. I'm not drinking yet. maybe later. Maybe later
Hey,
he'll look like that. Maybe
hey,
after
that's
if the
what they
Knicks
paid him.
lose, he'll look like that.
That's what they paid him. I mean, if Dart hits that, I mean, I will really give Dayball a lot of credit for being the quarterback whisperer that he's claimed to be. But please, if you got time, go on YouTube and look at Daniel Jones Duke highlights.
And
Once
then
you
go look
go
at
and look
Jackson
at him,
Dart.
and look how many times Daniel Jones just takes off, or he just looks one way and throws the ball up to an already open wide receiver. Please look at that and look at Jackson Dart and tell me you don't see similarity. Their
I love
personalities are nothing close.
I love this one. We have time to build. No, you don't. You're on year 4 of a 5-year plan, and you won 3 games last year, 6 games the year and 4. You started 7-2 and finished 2-5-1 in your season and got smoked by, and you haven't even sniffed the playoffs since you got smoked by the Eagles. There's no time to build. The time is now.
We have time to build. I guess everybody has time to build if you're not built. I guess. I mean, it's not like we're going to the playoffs. It's not like playoffs. We're not going to playoffs, so I guess we do have time to build.
I guess we do. I guess we do have time to build. Time to build what? I don't know. Some Lego. Go back
I've
and
got
eat
to
your locked on. Go back and eat your hot pockets. Go back to the mom's basement. And eat the hot pockets.
remember last quarterback, Lane Kiffin. Matt Corral, where is he now? Arena
Matt
Football League.
Corral. Mac. No. Yes. He's playing. No. He's playing in UFL. Matt
Okay.
Corral was at the combine as one of the throwing quarterbacks to the wide receivers and tight ends. And the best part was the reason why Matt Corral did that is because they let him participate in the quarterback drills. Because I was watching it and I was talking to my wife and I said, that's Matt Corral. It's like, he fucking graduated like 3 years ago. What the hell is he doing to have throwing the balls? And that's when the announcer said that they allowed him to throw with the quarterbacks because of the fact that he was the combine arm.
That's right. Matt Corral. I like Matt Corral coming out of college, but
Oh,
again,
I hated Matt Corral.
I just thought it ran longer.
hold on. I got to make sure I stay alive here. My wife is trying to
It's
move
always
around this
about
truck. I'm
it's
like, whoa.
always about you, T-Brad. It's always about you. I'm gonna make sure I stay alive. It's always about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea for my family if I stay alive. I'm like, hold up. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting season. That's all I can say because if we finish anywhere near where I think we'll finish, we'll be finishing around. We can grab a quarterback region.
I
And what do
hope.
we do? What do we do? Do we actually go and grab another one?
Do we do in Arizona?
I actually say yes, though. And if Archie Manning's there and we're picking at Archie Manning territory, that is a done deal. The Giants are too obvious. It's a done deal. Lane Kiffin, offense. And he's got great college offense, terrible NFL offense.
Oh yeah. Take a look up and back in South Florida. I'm eating. He had that kid at South Florida. That looked good. But he looked good at South Florida. And he didn't go anyplace else.
Yeah, it's a rough day to be a Giants fan. I got some excitement though. Let's see what happens.
I like I said before, talent, if you look at talent, There is good value positionally for the talent. The problem is this: the Giants roster is so muddled with all this different type of talent that you're like, I don't know what they're going to do. You have three. You're going to run a 3-4. You have three undersized defensive ends that someone's going to have to. And you just got a guy from Dallas. That means two of these guys got to play linebacker, and that's a disaster waiting fucking to happen. You're going to run a 4-3. Darius Alexander is not built for a 4-3. He's not built to be that Dalvin Tomlinson anchor because that's not what it does well. So then you're going to have two undersized defensive ends and then Dexter Lawrence, and then you're going to take one of these guys and put him at linebacker? No.
Fan on.
Philadelphia, and I keep saying this, Philadelphia built a team out of brute strength. Out of brute power. That's what they did. It's the professionalism. That's what they did. These guys in Philadelphia, that offensive line is not these small guys. They are a driving force going forward. Same thing with the defensive line. They are driving force going forward and have size. And then they just keep picking up, wait for it, actual linebackers. They just picked up another one that fell to him at third. I cringed. I said, I'm going to find Howie and punch him in the back of the head because how does this shit keep happening? A guy that was projected to go around 14 falls down to 32.
I couldn't believe it. The whole night I'm worried about the Eagles getting James Pierce. The whole night. Then when Atlanta got him, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I don't have to worry about that. And I'm not even thinking about Jahad Campbell. And they're like, the Eagles moved up. I'm like, who are they going to get? As soon as they said him, I'm like, oh, my God. How did he not get drafted? There's no team that needed a linebacker.
It's like everyone forgot. It was like, oh, shit, he's still there.
Yeah.
I like I said, I think the Giants have value. I think Carter's a value pick. I think Dart isn't. Like I said, Darius Alexander, to me, people forget this. He was the 13th defensive tackle taken at 65. So there were 12 others that teams thought were more proficient at being a true defensive tackle. Cam, I like Cam being the two down back. I like Cam being the thunder to the lightning. But the problem is, to your point, you are going to be extremely predictable when Cam is on the field because of the fact that while he can catch the ball out of the backfield, he doesn't have a second gear. I don't think he has a gear and a half. And it's going to be Wayne. I always still envision that Wayne Gallman run in Seattle. Busted through the line. He bursted through. You're like, oh shit, we're gonna get this. We're gonna win this game like 21-7. What does he do? He gets dragged down at the 15 from behind. I'll never forget that Marcus Bowe. His claim to fame is he can play both positions, but he's better at being a pass blocker because he is more slight of build and has a slender frame and reminds me of Matt from Connecticut. But on this team, he has positional value because it's a bad offensive line and he can play on both sides of the ball. On all two positions, not center, of course.
Right.
So like I said, I don't think it's a bad draft. I think, but I just don't know what the fuck Shane is doing. It's a cut and paste roster. And he drafted Daniel Jones light.
I don't know. He might be heavy Daniel Jones. The only thing I like about Dart,
is the granny glasses and the puka shells looking like he's wearing a Von Dutch shirt.
Nah, like Dart seems like a fun kid. He seems like a kid with some personality because Daniel Jones had the personality of a brick. I swear to you. Just zero personality. So, it's good that he Dart's got some personality, and winning solves everything. If he comes in and the good thing is he is able to sit. But the problem is once he comes in after sitting, the clock begins.
I want to talk to you about a quarterback for a second because you're talking about the fun personality. And I want you to guess who this quarterback was. There was a quarterback that came into the league with all this hype, with his fun personality, with his aggressiveness, his attitude. He won a little. Everyone loved him.
Johnny Manziel.
Nope. Then a couple years later, his personality became grating because he was no longer winning. And then a couple years later, all of a sudden, he's got a great personality because he's on a better team and he's winning.
Sam Darnold.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. Oh, the crotch grabber. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone loved Baker Mayfield. And I keep telling this, it's like the cave on Thibodeau overconfidence. I'm getting 16 sacks. That's great. They say you're cocky. I say what? I ain't bragging, motherfucker, if you back it up. But if you don't back it up, then you just become an arrogant asshole. That's why I'm so wonderful. But same thing with the quarterback position. You can be this arrogant asshole, but if you come in here and don't produce, you are then bad Baker Mayfield.
You're gone, yeah. Come in and
So,
produce, talk all. If you
talk
come
all
in
you
and play
want.
ball, talk all the trash you want respectfully. Talk it all. I'm for it. Like I'm a player. I'm a fan that I love when Jeremy Shockey was there giving people the business
Oh,
and
yeah.
talking the crap. It was exciting. It was exciting. But I don't know why Giants fans don't want that from a quarterback or whatever. But just win. Just win is all you got to do to me.
Winning. You know what? You want me to be a Jackson Dart fan? Prove to me you're more than a one read, half the field quarterback and win.
Win.
Then I
It's
will be.
all
Then
you
I
gotta
will
do.
own a Jackson Dart jersey.
I may give this Shador Sanders jersey though, because it's wrong what they did to that kid. That was just totally wrong. But I'm rooting for Dart. Don't get it messed up. I'm rooting for Dart. But
And
again,
I you know what? But I think that's the. Thank you. Thank you. That was the best way to put it. People are like, "Well, you're against Dart." No,
no, I want him to win.
You're gonna root for the kid because he got drafted by your team. It just doesn't make sense.
Look,
It doesn't make football sense when you take a look and people say a week after the NFL season concluded that this guy is going to struggle with his deep throws. Dart was able to make pre-snap reads often, but he plays based on a one read or half the field that some will say is not enough evidence to be confident to suggest Dart can consistently process defensive coverages post-snaps. Or was there enough evidence to show he could make full field reads? This is 7 days after the NCAA championship game. Now all of a sudden,
he really nailed those interviews. He really nailed those interviews.
He must have nailed the interviews. That's the only thing I can think of. Because I love it because everyone even says as he throws deeper, his ball goes higher. And that the fact that he had a track record of not being clutch late in games last season, his completion percentage in the fourth quarter was below 60%, worst of any quarter with 15% off target rate. And that was consistent over 3 years of a completion rate of 60.1 and an off-target rate of 12.4 in the fourth quarter. It's notable that in 3 years at Minnesota and 1 at USC, Dart threw 0 game-winning touchdowns and led the Rebels to a game-winning score late in the fourth quarter twice in 3 years.
Please go see that Florida game if you want to
2
see Jackson Dart
interceptions
under pressure.
in the fourth quarter in a winnable game. I thought
No,
it was 2.
3 interceptions. One was called back.
That's right. One was called back. You're right. You're right. I didn't know that was. I forgot that was in the fourth. Was that also in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, that was all in the same time frame. One got called back. He's like, hey, "Don't you worry, I'll throw another one."
And it's not.
So,
Yeah.
You're rooting for the kid. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a Lakers fan. I'm rooting for the Lakers the whole game. But when it's 30 or 25 seconds and they're down by 10, my enthusiasm, I'm not hating when I say we lost this one. I'm not hating. So when I look at football film and I see things that I don't like, I promise you, I just stay consistent to what I like to see and what I don't like to see. I don't like to see a one-read quarterback. I'm sorry, I don't like this. We just came from that. The good thing for you, Tim, is you can keep that red stripe.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. Oh my God, that was one of my favorite ones.
Yes. So I would say keep that on the back burner.
Oh my God, I think I deleted it. Oh no.
It's Daniel Jones.
I have to change it, man.
Captain Red Stripe, man.
Oh, we could change that to Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
We could-
I can't wait to see the nicknames. Have we given Jackson Dart a nickname? Because it usually happens quick. Has there been a nickname for Jackson? Not
Not
us, but
yet.
our fan
No,
base, our fan on crowd.
I'm surprised they haven't called him X.
Jackson X?
No, just X.
Just X?
Just X.
X, go give it to you.
That's
Spelling
right, man.
Jackson. Spelling Jackson with
You know where he
an
threw
X
that
is
ball?
pretty
He threw
tough.
that ball on the X.
Did you see the video I sent you where Jackson Dart was on a run? It was at some type of thing, and they had him throw this ball into the like
Yeah,
bucket, and he
yeah,
shorted it.
yeah.
Oh my God! I was like, tell me he
But
was drunk or something, because it was.
but I was gonna say I saw that and I kind of thought the same thing. I'm like, he's a kid. You know, he might be a little. You know, he
Little
might have been.
sauce.
He might have a little bit of hat. You know, T-Rad's. I don't know what the event was, but Jackson Dart was doing like a quarterback competition, and they had this moving cart down the sideline, and you were supposed to throw the ball into the cart or aim at the cart. And let's just put it this way: Jackson Dart wasn't even close. I think Jackson Dart hit the Buick instead of the little cart going down the road. But I give him a break on that because he's a kid, and it might have been a little.
Little
Looks like
pregame party.
looks like everyone was having a little bit of fun.
Too much fun.
Yeah.
You know what? I come from an era where people played, whether they were on coke or alcohol, they play like champions. So I can't let them use that as an excuse.
I come from an era. We come from an era where you did not have everything on video. So,
Oh,
so it was more to be left to the imagination, and sometimes your imagination was not even close to what the real life was.
at all, at
So,
all. And
that's
I know it sounds like we're hating. We're not. I'm personally hating on the fact that we traded for him. That's what
well,
Fred.
I
That's
hope,
what
like I
pissed
said,
me off more than anything.
I hope the kid succeeds. I hope he becomes the next franchise quarterback from the Giants. But, and you know, it's not his fault that the Giants traded up to get him.
Exactly.
It's not. It's not his fault. You know, and so you're going to support. I support everyone that we drafted. But if you want me to look at it, like I said, I'm not looking at this through the Giant lens. I'm looking at this, taking a step back, looking at, okay, the Giants drafted these guys. These are their needs. These are their schemes. This is the offense. This is the defense they run. This is their offensive, defensive coaches. This is their head coaches. How do they fit in the general philosophy of what this team does? That's my thought process.
Yeah, I get. My thought process is, Tim, you've got to apply for the general manager position because I personally think we're going to need a new one. Another
By
thing
October?
is, yeah, Joe must go. But another thing is, if you look at what you discussed maybe a couple weeks ago, let's just trade back, get a Tyler Warren type caliber player. We're still going to get a quarterback. We're still going to get a
Right.
quarterback second round. Whether that be Sanders for how we probably would have done it, we probably would have just sat there and took Sanders. Wouldn't have let him drop the fifth round, what have you. I like that offense, with Neighbors and Warren. And whenever we do find a quarterback, let's say we grab Shador and Shador turns into crap. He's not good. When you do have a quarterback, those pieces are right there. And then you still go and get the pieces you want on defense,
Right.
make some moves. And remember, you probably got a nice piece of draft capital trading back from 3 to maybe 9 or 10 or wherever we needed to go.
Well, you look at what Cleveland got.
A boatload, a
Yeah.
boatload. And I think when you play like that in a la the Bears, because if you look at the Bears were basically redoing their front office the same time the Giants were redoing their front office. Both teams had the same opportunities for the same players, and the Bears looking to be on the upswing, while the Giants seem to be like stuck in the ocean without any canoe or wind or anything. We're just out there.
We're paddling.
We're paddling.
That's the way we get. That's the way we got to look at it. We are currently paddling. But you
We're
know
the
what? It's and like I said, some people are going to get it that we're not hating on any of the players, and some people are just going to still be, well, you're hating. Well, no, because it's going to be like when people rewatch this video, they're going to be like, well, you're just negative. It's like, well, what was I negative about? I just spoke the truth. And I'm not hating on the players because of the fact that they're Giants, but I'm just telling you the honest truth of what they are.
Oh, Tim, I got something I can do. Something I can do. I can talk about times I was wrong. How about that? I
Yeah.
remember the year we drafted JPP. I didn't want JPP. I want the linebacker from Missouri. I got that wrong. The Giants got that right. There are plenty of players like Azeez Ujulari. When we got him, I thought he was going to be a difference maker to the defense, and he had moments, but he was nowhere near where I thought he would
But I
be.
think that point was actually
I
more
think we
injury.
all,
That's injury.
yeah,
That's
but
injury related.
I think we all have players that we like, and players the Giants draft, and they think they're going to do good, and
And
you
they don't.
think, and then we have some times where we disagree with what management did, and just because we disagree with what management doesn't make us a hater. We all want the Giants to be great. We just
We all
disagree
want
on the
them to win.
road. Right. We disagree on the path to greatness. That's it.
And
That's really it.
this path has been going on for 12 years.
Had they listened to us, they'd be in better shape.
Yeah, it would have only been 9 years. All
I
right, T.
agree.
I'm gonna let you drop off because I'm gonna drop something also on. I want to get to the chat real quick because I'm only here for another half hour because the Knicks are on at 1. So
Cool, brother.
I
Y'all
gotta
have
make
a
sure I
great
do
one.
everything. So I appreciate you coming as always, my brother, and drive carefully. Tell mom I said hi.
Oh, I'm not driving. My wife's driving. I'm safe. All right. Sure thing, bro. Take care.
All
Peace.
right, man. I'll take you later. Oops. Let's see here. Slider has the ball. Slider, call the ball. You got no
What up,
sound,
Tim?
Slider. There you
What
go.
up, Tim? There you
You
go.
got some sound.
Oh man. Well, I thought the draft was okay. I'm split on the dart pick, but again, I'm praying that it works out. But like I said earlier, and you said earlier too, we got to win games
That's it.
because a new coach can come
All
in.
this goes away though if you win. And
Yeah,
if you don't win, then the next regime is stuck with Jackson Dart that we took traded assets, gave up not only 2025 assets but 2026, and you have to find a coach and a general manager that are going to be willing to say, and I've heard this before somewhere, I don't remember where, yes, we can make this guy into a winning quarterback.
and our schedule this year is brutal. Like I don't know how
Oh,
many games we're gonna win.
I don't know if we're going to win a
Like
game at home.
yeah, we're gonna go 0 for life in freaking home games again. And yeah, so I was surprised. Like one of the picks I like was Scataboo, but just hoping that works out. Um,
Like I said, I like
yeah,
Scataboo, and I think he is a guy that is going to come in here. He's not a 3-down back, and I don't think the Giants are going to perceive him that he doesn't have a second gear. When he runs, he's a good enough pass catcher. But the problem with him is you're going to T. Brad's point, you're going to know what the Giants are going to do when he's in the game because you are not going to drop him you're not going to send him out on a pass route when you're going to sit there and say we know if he catches the ball, he's probably not going to get much more after the point of contact.
yeah.
But is he a good yin to the yang of Tyrone Tracy? I think it is. Caleb Johnson to me made more sense, and he went later to the Steelers, and I think he's more of an every down back. But like I said, and the only thing I worry about Cam is he's got a lot of he's got a lot of
Miles.
pelts on his back here. He's got a lot of miles on him right now because of the fact that he ran the ball so extensively in college. And we've seen backs that have had those high carry loads not, be as proficient as you would think they were going to be in the pros.
That is true, and I'm worried about one thing. I hope they don't do this like what they did to Mel Gray or some whatever that back's name is.
Eric Gray.
Eric Gray, yes. Where they tell him, "Hey, go do kickoffs and punts." I'm like, "Oh God, don't do that to
Oh
him."
dear Lord! No, he's not. No, Cam is not returning kicks.
Oh, thank God. I hope not, because if I see him there,
I'm gonna tell Cam if they put Cam. It's like if you want Cam returning kicks would be like trying to play softball with a bowling ball.
yeah.
It's just not gonna work.
Oh man, Did you hear the? I don't know if you were watching the draft, but you hear a funny story with his mom regarding Cam. When he was 6 years old, he would put on his brother's helmet and shoulder pads on, and she would say he would run into telephones. I'm all like, telephone poles. I'm like, why would you have your son run into telephone poles?
I
It's
can't.
kind of.
I can't say. When I was I did shit like that.
I was
I
like,
did.
I don't like that.
We used to when my friend had this big one of those high 7-foot fences. It's all wooden fences, and of course it was back in the '80s, and we were all football players. So I was probably like 7, 8, or 9, and we are just playing, playing Pee Wee, playing Pop Warner, and we used to catch the ball. And we would catch the ball as we were running towards the fence, and you would catch the ball over your shoulder, and then you would grab it, and then you would run into the fence.
Yeah,
And
the fence is one thing.
we would see though who could keep from dropping the ball. So you would face plant into the fence. So yeah, we did shit like that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's pretty crazy.
You know what I laugh at because you talk about Giant home games. We were in the Giant locker room on Thursday, and and I've been in the Giant locker room at least 4 times a year, every year. So I noticed things in the Giant locker room, and we were walking out back onto the field, and there's a new sign that they had put up last year, and I love it because we only had 1 win. So this is the new sign coming out of the Giant locker room.
Win
And
at
I was
home.
like, we were 1-7, and we may go 0-8 next year. But I was like, this is the sign, and they put that up last season. And I took a picture of it last season. I forgot it, and then when Big L and I were in the locker room the other day, I saw that. I'm like, yeah, win at home.
Yeah.
What
Oh
do you
my
think?
God.
What do you think is the worst pick out of the picks?
Maybe the cornerback. We are light at cornerback, but I just don't think that kid might be making the team. It's a late round pick. And plus, like, he presses, but Bowen plays a lot of off coverage, which I don't understand, where he doesn't mix it up, like have some bump and run or whatever, and then play off. But I've always seen our defense, we're always playing off, like 10 yards off, like
Yeah.
pre-releases. And I'm like, okay.
He's not gonna make the team. Oh, and 100% John Doe. 100%.
Yeah.
I've had 11 known concussions. Known, and back in the '80s and the early '90s. You played.
Yeah.
It wasn't a concussion like this kinder, gentler thing. Now it was called getting your bell rung.
Yes.
It's like do you hear bells? And I've told the story. I got laid out, and I'm laying on the field, and you have the doctor staff, which usually consisted of the school nurse, coming out on the field. And I loved it because, of course, they take your helmet off. And this is the '80s, so what do they know? They could have been a neck injury. No, but they just take your helmet off because they want to make sure you're still alive. And I remember her holding up fingers, and they always do the thing where they make you fall down. And she's like, "Well, how many fingers? How many fingers?" And I go, "Saturday." And I love it because the assistant backfield coach goes, "He's fine." I went off for 1 play and came right back.
Oh my God, that's
yes,
Saturday.
100,000%.
Holy crap!
I can tell you that.
Oh
Hey
my
Tim,
God.
can you put the? Oh yeah, Big Blue for life. Here. I put the
What
link
do
in the
you?
chat already, bro. What are you talking about, Big Blue?
So with Carter, he's going to be either linebacker or defensive end, right? So
Here's
gonna be
here's the issue. You run a 3. Let's say you're running a 3-4. You're running a hybrid 3-4. You're not going to have Darius Alexander out there. You're going to have Dexter Lawrence. You're probably going to have Burns and Thibodeau, or maybe Burns and Abdul Carter as your defensive ends, and one of those guys is going to have to slide out into the outside linebacker position. Now, if I see a formation of, let's say, Burns and Thibodeau on the same side with one of them as the outside linebacker, I'm doing what they've been doing for 4 years. I'm running right at them.
Yeah, those stretch plays, those
Yep.
toss plays. Yeah,
I'm running like they've done like they've done for like they've done since the Cleveland preseason game 5 years ago with Joe Judge. I'm running right at them.
that is.
If you
Yeah,
go a 4-3, you're going to have an undersized defensive tackle paired with Dexter Lawrence, who's better or more proficient at rushing the passer, and then two undersized defensive ends, and then once again one of the three Ghost brothers out in the second level at the linebackers. I'm once
yeah,
again I'm running off tackle because you have no linebackers that are truly gonna, and none of these guys understands how to hold their edge and maintain their assignment, and they don't.
yeah. They
So
don't.
it's going to be what the defensive philosophy is going to be for Shane Bowen and how they're going to put these players in rotationally. Like I said, I think Abdul Carter positionally and positional value at 3 is a good pick, but just not for the Giants. Because
Yeah,
you take a look at his first 2 seasons as an off the ball linebacker at Penn State, compare them to Parsons, who only played 2 seasons at Penn State. They're not even the same player. He only became proficient at his position at defensive end because Penn State lost 2 players to the draft the year before, and they not only moved him there at a necessity, but they felt that's going to give them the best value. And
yeah,
again, that's not his fault, but I can't draft a guy at 3 to be a rotational player and a package guy, but he's still an elite pass rusher and he has value to the team. It's just how they're gonna. Like I said, if Wink was running this,
yeah.
if Wink or we would have got Steve Wilkes from waited a week and got him from San Francisco when they got rid of him. Shit, man. I,
He would be
I,
attacking.
I'm looking at a blitzathon.
Yeah,
Then it all makes sense. But the style of defense Shane Bowen runs doesn't make sense.
yeah.
And
It
Mr. Oliver, you think Spags 4-3? Here's your problem with the Spags 4-3. You had the likes of those 2 championship years, Michael Strahan, who started out as a run stuffer, Justin Tuck, who was not only he fell the second round from Notre Dame because of the knee injury, but he was not only a pass rusher, he's a run stuffer. Osi Umenyiora lived in the offensive backfield, and he was not only a pass rusher, he was a run stuffer. Matthias Kiwanuka, not only a pass
ex-
rusher, a run stuffer. Chris Canty, not only a pass rusher, a run stuffer. These guys
exactly.
that's how they shut down New England, not just beyond getting after Tom Brady, but controlling the complete line of scrimmage from the pass to the rush to the quarterback itself.
Yeah, and you know what's scary about relying on these 3, right? The ghost trios now. We're giving up so much size. Like we don't. I mean, and they're not that strong against the run. They're so
No,
inconsistent.
no, I gotta drop Big Blue for life, my brother.
My
Having
brother
fun as
Tim, how you feeling?
always. I'm feeling good, man. You were feeling good Thursday night.
Yeah, oh buddy, was I?
Did you make it to dinner?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I want to make sure. Big Blue for Life was with us with his lovely wife over at the draft party. So we all had a good time. We ran into Mark Stewart and a bunch of other people. So we had ourselves a blast that night. So it was a lot of fun. It was great to have you come out as always. You came out before when we did the live thing over at that restaurant. You've been to the other draft parties with us. You're always a friend of the show, and you're always just a friend in general. So like I said, really appreciate you having the ability to come out and hang out with us on Thursday night.
I appreciate you for having me. You support good peoples, man. I think you do a great job over there. You're one of the few programs that's just not a homer program, and you tell it like it is, and that's what I appreciate about listening to online Big Blue. Is the authenticity of the show and the fact that you're willing, and it's constructive criticism. So a lot of the people who say he's always negative, it's constructive criticism. They don't listen to the positive part of it. They just tend to kind of like zero in on the things that they don't like, and I get it. As fans, a lot of us, we are emotionally attached to our team, and we want every pick to be the best thing since sliced bread. But I would at least, as a fan, I want to be an educated fan, and this is why I tune in, because you take the opportunity to actually educate us instead of just going, with the popular narrative, and that's what I love about this show, Tim. So
I
thank you
appreciate.
for having me.
I appreciate. You know what's fun? I really do appreciate it. And what I think is funny is 85% of what I said that first hour was positive. But I cannot wait to read the comment section in like 3 hours because the other 15%, which was constructive criticism, is going to be perceived as negativity.
Yeah.
So, Cutthroat says, missed a few live streams. Is Jackson Dart really that bad? Well, you may want to go back, Cutthroat, and go through the whole thing because we actually did a whole thing on Jackson Dart, and we read his draft profiles and draft breakdowns that were given by scouts a week after the college championship game. And they all say the same thing, that he's a Lane Kiffin product. He only looks at half the field. He only reads half the field. We're not going to read it all through again. I don't understand how a week after the college football season ended, he was the 55th ranked player, the 4th ranked quarterback. Everyone talks about the fact that if you take a look at his fourth quarter passing percentage, it dropped down to 59%. And the fact that it consistently did that every year in college, he was throwing less than 60% in the fourth quarter, that he can't handle the rust, that he may be a Lane Kiffin one-read quarterback. And if you want to listen to go back to the again, Cutthroat, the first hour really explains it, and there's going to be a video tomorrow, but I can't say if he's bad. He must have nailed the interview, guys, because I don't understand how in this short period of time after the season ended, he all of a sudden got better.
I can add to that, Tim.
You can add that. I'm going to add Greg in too, but I want you to keep Greg. We're going to add you in, but I got to hear what Big Blue for Life is going to say here. Drops the knowledge on us, my friend.
So, what I've heard in the community, Dable tend to really lean on Nick Saban when it comes to making his decisions on these players coming out of the SEC. And he really values Saban's opinion. And just to give you a little context, this is why he was so high on Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, is because Saban pretty much said those two guys gave him hell, and I believe he said Brock Bowers as well. So fast forward to
Yes.
this year,
Bowers, yes, you're
um,
right.
what they're saying is that Saban had some high marks not only on Jackson Dart but also Jalen Milroe, and Dable saw a lot of similarities in Jackson Dart to Josh Allen, and he wanted to be he felt that he met his system. He fit his system better, and Shane wanted to take Shador, and Dable pretty much pushed the envelope to get Jackson Dart. I was disappointed with the pick personally. I do wish him well. I believe that if we sat there at 34, we could have still got him if that was a guy that identified. But I'm hearing that the Rams also wanted him. But you never know. We moved up. We give the assets. We got the kid. He's a giant now, and I wish him well. But reading some of the drawbacks to his game, it has some eerie similarities to Daniel
To
Jones.
Daniel, I love this. Is from a draft report a week from after the college football season. I'm just going to read part of it, and we're going to have a whole video about this tomorrow. Dart was able to make reads pre-snaps, but often made plays based on one read or half the field. There are some, but not enough evidence to confidently suggest Dart could consistently process defensive coverage post-snaps, nor was there enough evidence to show he can make full field reads. I've been saying, and I love this other part. He actually led the NCAA college football with 9 passes batted down, which is the same number of passes or equal to the shorter passers in Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. And like I said, this was a week. These are scouting reports came a week after the end of the college football season. So like I said, I just keep getting confused how all of a sudden has this guy that had these reports that don't speak flattering about his game at times, all of a sudden he's this. And this was the other thing I loved, and this is for Cutthroat as well. I had a track record of not being clutch in games. Last year, his completion percentage rate in the fourth quarter was below 60%, worst of any quarter, with a 15% off-target rate. This was consistent over his 3 years at Ole Miss, which is 60.1 with a 12.4 off-target completion rate in the fourth quarter. Most notably, in 3 years at Ole Miss and 1 at USC, Dart threw 0 game-winning touchdowns and led the Rebels to game-winning scores late in the fourth quarter twice in 3 years.
That's not good.
Wow.
Like
Nah,
I
it's
said,
not.
these were
Tim,
reports a week after the season ended.
That's not good. Again, eerie similarities
Daniel
to
Jones.
Daniel
DJ.
Jones. And now, how is he under pressure? I was reading some.
horrible.
Horrible.
The greatest example I saw was the Florida game.
Well, the 2 interceptions. Technically
yeah.
3 interceptions in the fourth quarter in the Florida game.
And the final drive was even worse because he could have ran it for a first down. He throws the triple coverage into the end zone. I'm like, what did you see?
Wow.
But Tim, guys, this shows you how dumb Joe Shane is, right? Look how much he has no balls at all. He is like the cat behind the whispers, bro. Like he has nothing, right? Like look what the Jaguars did. They got up and got their guy, right?
Yeah.
If you don't,
Well,
if you have
no,
that
technically
tool,
Joe Shane went up and got his guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have dropped. You should have dropped back. You should,
Right,
you
no,
should have
but he
dropped
still
back.
did it though.
You should have dropped back and got an asset, and you still could have traded in and got him with your asset that you just got from. Oh my God, bro!
I
This
didn't
is one of
think
the
there
worst
was no
drafts I've
way
ever
in the
seen.
world that at 25, Shador got past Pittsburgh that we
That is
weren't
so
going to
weird.
draft him.
We all don't get into that one.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot about this one for Mr. Oliver too. Joe Judge and Dable are from New England and are friends. Joe Judge, of course, is on the offensive staff over at Minnesota Ole Miss.
Ah,
Yes,
crap.
he is.
I
Yes,
forgot
this is
that
true.
because I posted something on Twitter that I saw that Joe Judge gave his seal of approval. I'm like, we're all fucking doomed.
Oh,
Mhm.
God,
You
no,
know what?
no.
There's like a contingent of
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
forgot he was over there. They
there's a lot
mentioned
of
it
giant
that Joe
connections. There's
Judge is
Joe
there.
Judge. There's Joe Shane's son works there. I mean, plays there.
It's don't forget hit the like, guys. We got 108 people still in the YouTube sphere.
This
We
is
got another
scary.
200 something over in the other place. So make sure you guys hit that like button, push us to the top because, as we know, we're going on a new adventure starting in the next couple of weeks. We are going to be on the Believe Network. Carl Banks, Spot Papa, Online Big Blue, Phil Sims. Go figure.
Tim,
Go figure.
What do you rate this draft?
I give this draft a solid B+.
Okay.
I do not like the and we went through all the grades and the values and rankings. The Abdul Carter pick to me is that he's going to be a low impact player but a starter. The Dart pick to me is garbage. Darius Alexander to me is going to be, depending on the scheme and how they use him, he is going to be at least a contributor. And I also think you need to put him to block some kicks. Cam Scataboo is going to be that 2-down back, and he's going to be that change of pace to Tyrone Tracy. He's going to be the thunder to the lightning. So, I mean, like I said, I gave him a 78.8 on my thing. Marcus Bowe is going to be that guy. He's going to be more of a versatility of more than anything else because he can play both guard and tackle. But he's not going to be a starter, but I think he's going to be a contributor. And the 2 picks after that, the tight end with 2 ACLs who can't block and catch the ball, I don't think he's going to be much, and I don't think anything to Corey Black whatsoever. So I give it a solid B+, but to me it could have been a higher grade if they had a philosophy and made that and built players towards that philosophy. It's just we're cut and paste.
Yeah, I agree. I give it a C+.
Yeah.
I'm not saying C+. C+.
Okay, maybe B minus. I'm sorry.
All right, there you go. B-. Come on.
A lot of
Take a-
Giant fans are saying Joe Shea knocked it out of the park. I'm like, I don't want to go that far. I don't want to go that far yet.
Another mid-draft.
You want to hear about you don't want to hear about the draft that Joe Shane knocked out of the park that I had to hear? Ready for this? Darren Beavers, gone. McKeithen, gone. Davidson, garbage. McFadden, Dane Bellinger, Cordell Flott, Joshua Zuda, Wando Robinson, Evan. I don't want to pick up that 5th dealer option, and Kayvon Thibodeau. That was the other draft he hit out of the park.
No.
Yeah, 2 picks inside the top 10 were potential flops.
We'll probably both are not going to be on the team in 2 years.
Also,
well, he said he's going to pick up the 5th-year option on Tibbs too.
Yes, he is, and he's not. They're already going to decline it on Evan Neal.
He's a
I'm going to be
madman.
honest with Tibbs. I think he's going to get less amount of snaps during when the season progresses further. He might be in less snaps and more Carter in. I think.
I think it's gonna be consistently the same. I think Carter is going to. This is the only thing I worry about Carter. I think he is going to fit in the Aziz Ojulari mold when Aziz was healthy.
Oh,
When they
okay.
still had Burns and Thibodeau. I think that's going to be where that kind of melds in. And don't forget the like button, guys.
I
Come
got a
on,
different.
let's get these likes up.
I got a different philosophy on that. What you can do, you can run Tibbs and on Burns on the other side. Then you can kind of have like on first and second down, you can have him kind of like a hybrid like Kuanuka type of role, like where you're like hovering around, like you find your gap, or the A gap or the B gap, you know.
Who
Well, oh, with
for
Carter.
Abdul for
Yeah,
Carter?
then on third and fourth down, and third on yeah for Carter, then third and fourth, and third down, then you put him just as a pass rusher.
Or do
He
you want
did.
Abdul spy?
He was an average off the ball linebacker for 2 seasons at Penn State.
But you're just hovering then. You're just blitzing anyway. But like you know what I mean.
I loved it. They had a I think it was Emmanuel Ochoa. He showed a play of Abdul Carter in the pass routes, in his pass coverage, and I loved it because he was like he's trying to break down this play, and he's like, look at this, he's looking this way, he's looking this way, and then him looking this way and looking this way, the quarterback just it was he just did everything right, and then it was a god awful throw from the quarterback, not even near Abdul Carter. I was like,
Yeah.
so that's how we're showing how he does bash coverage when the quarterback didn't even throw anywhere near him. I mean, come on. I mean, like I said, people want to make things about this kid. He is a pass rushing specialist. He will be, and you are an impact player if you can rush the quarterback consistently.
Indeed.
You don't have to do much else. There have been plenty of pass rushing specialists in this league that didn't do really anything else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But does he fit in the Shane Bowen system? Is he an impact player? I think it's going to be yes. He is going to be an impact player. Would he be more of an impact player under a Steve Wilkes or Steve Spagnuolo or
Wink.
a Wink system? Yes, more than he is going to be in the Shane Bowen. So you got to kind of wait and see if Bowen adjusts to this Miramar mixture of talent that Joe Shane gave him.
Exactly. And like Joe Shane, I've been screwing at Joe Shane. Bowen is not the most innovative defensive coordinator.
No.
He should have been fired actually too with the rest of this regime. But like
And,
especially him, like he was very lethargical on defense. He plays a weird system. We don't have the system to press the people to play the system that he has.
No, we don't. We have players that are press covered man-to-man corners that excel in locking down individuals. But we're going to play
10 yards off.
But we're going to play. Thank you. We're going to play. That's what used to kill me with Banks. People are like, well, Banks is having a terrible year. Well, first of all, he had rotten safety play with Pinnock
Tyler Newman.
and Tyler Newman and everyone else. So you lose it. You left your best safety in the league go, but yeah, no, and he was also in a system that just doesn't fit his talent.
No.
So,
And if anyone knows about Bowen, like you said before, we all saw this. He was good 1 year with Tennessee because of who? What was the name
Jim
of that
Schwartz.
one hire? Yes,
Jim
and
Schwartz.
then when he left, what happened to Bowen? He sucked after that. Year after year. That's why he's no longer there.
Slider's got it right.
Me.
First year, Shane Bowen, defensive coordinator over at Tennessee Titans. He didn't really have the title. They were 11-5, went to the playoffs, but they had the worst pass defense in the leagues, and they got smoked in the playoffs. Vrabel brings in Jim Schwartz for 2 years to be the mentor to Shane Bowen. Defense improves, and Schwartz talked about this in the Daily Tennessean, that his job was to come in here and mentor and be a second set of eyes for Shane Bowen. Defense improved 2 years in the secondary. He then goes and takes the job in Cleveland, Jim Schwartz. The secondary falls back apart again his last year in Tennessee.
That's why we don't have faith in him in our DC. I have no faith in him unless he figures it out.
We do not trust.
Yeah.
Shane, we do not
trust at this point.
Yeah.
So, guys, I'm gonna let both you guys run because
wait, Tim. Let me tell you something. I hate this Jackson Dart signing, bro. I hate it. It was the most weird. It's gonna set us back another 3 years watching this garbage ass Daniel Jones clone in there when he has Shador Sanders, who's gonna rip up the NFL within 2 years.
Want to make
What
it
the
6?
fuck were all these 32 teams thinking of when they did this shit? What the fuck were you thinking?
Well, the Giants did it too.
I know that.
So you gotta look at that.
All right, man. I'll
All
see you
right,
later,
guys.
Tim.
I'm gonna. Thanks you guys for all coming in. I want to get to the chat too, because I do got to leave a little bit early because the Knicks are on tonight. Not even tonight at 1:00. I want to just make sure we grab some of the things that are going on here. James has hit that like button. Goofballs coming in saying, "What's up, everyone?" James Stein says you can't cause coaches, or you can't because coaches are trash. This is a team manager's trash as well. Todd says Homer fans think every draft, Todd's got it right. Every Homer fan thinks this is the greatest draft ever. Oh, it's the greatest draft ever. You motherfuckers got the greatest draft ever. We had the greatest draft of all time. No, it doesn't really happen that way. But it is what it is. But guys, listen, I gotta check out of here. I appreciate everyone coming in. Don't forget, we're gonna have the big show on Monday, so stay tuned for that. And again, this is Tim's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. And as always, guys, we're out of here. Hopefully we can get out of here. All right, peace. Well, now we're gonna go.